Perfect.
All right, everybody, what's going on, man? How y'all doing? Welcome to today's edition of SWAC Talk. This is a show we cover the SWAC inside and out. I'm your tour guide around the SWAC Seawells coming at you. And, of course, it's Tuesday, so that means it's time for the HBCU Top 10. We're going to drop that today. We're going to also do our point spreads and my thoughts on all of those. And we're going to kind of rock and roll with that, man. So with that being said, why don't y'all check out the socials? Got all the information on the upcoming shows there. Got Swag Smoke coming on Thursday, live 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern. Week 9 preview coming Wednesday, which is the day before Thursday. That comes Wednesday. Week 9 recap comes on Sunday. And then next Tuesday is our HBCU Top 10 for the heading into Week 10. So we are rapidly approaching the end of October, and we only have 1 full month of football left, so it just seemed like it just started, man, and it's been a topsy-turvy, up and down road, but, you know, I can't complain. I'm enjoying it. I hope y'all are enjoying it. So we're going to go over our top 10, but before you do that, like I said, check out the socials. They are on the screen down below. Facebook is Swag Talk, Instagram Swag Talk, Twitter Swag Talk 76. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Like the video, share, comment your thoughts on the top 10. And if you would like to become a member, hit that join button and become a member of the channel. Otherwise, if you would like to just donate to the channel, you can hit the Cash App, $ Swag Talk. Anything would be appreciated. Also, this is probably one of the last times to go over this little bit of housekeeping. And, you know, October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And Park Lane Jewelry is asking for your support. They have a hope necklace that can be purchased for only $20 with a minimum purchase, and 20% goes directly to breast cancer. The link is in the description. So let's go ahead and rock and roll, man. We're gonna go ahead and make this happen. Number one is the number one team that's been the number one team since going all the way back to like week 5. So that's the North Carolina Central Eagles. They continue to win. They've been on a roll lately. So, you know, coming off of the loss to UCLA earlier in the season, they have won all the rest of their games, and they won their first MEAC game of the season on Thursday night against Morgan State. Morgan State gave them everything that they wanted, especially defensively. The Bears were really, really tough defensively, made it hard on North Carolina Central, but the Eagles were able to prevail and win that game by a score of 16-10 in a knockdown, drag-out fight. Actually, it's, you know, a late touchdown by Morgan made the score a little bit closer than what it was. But, you know, the Eagles survive and advance. You know, this is conference play now for MEAC teams. So, you know, however you make it through is however you make it through. Style points don't really make a big difference. And that's why this team is still number one. They're playing well on both sides of the ball. They're taking punches. And they rolling with them. So they stay at number one. They continue their journey through the MEAC. Like I said, from here on out, all the games are MEAC games for those teams. They play South Carolina State on Thursday. So they have another Thursday game, back-to-back weeks playing Thursday games. And South Carolina State was the only team to beat Central last season. So they beat them 27-24. So that's definitely an opportunity for North Carolina Central to get some get back. And it also just says that, you know, when South Carolina State is up to par, they can beat anybody. And last season was not even a good season for them, but they were able to compete and beat North Carolina Central. So this is a very intriguing game, Thursday night action. Don't miss that. But number one remains the same. Number 2 also remains the same. And that's the Florida A&M Rattlers. They beat Texas Southern on Saturday 31-21 in a game. They trailed 14-0. Basically scored the next 31 points before Texas Southern scored a touchdown toward the end of the game. So another typical FAMU game, start slow, come on strong in the second half, and basically win the game by double digits. This time they fell down by 14, so that was the largest deficit that they've had to an FCS opponent. But they were able to lock down and get themselves back into the game. So this is kind of what FAMU does this season, just win, don't play great offensively until, the back's against the wall. Then they put the foot on the gas and make the plays defensively. They gave up some big plays early, but they were able to right the ship and hold Texas Southern down late in the game. So Rattlers, they are also 6-1, just like North Carolina Central. Both teams are 6-1. FAMU was number 2 last week. They're number 2 this week. It's homecoming in Tallahassee for the Rattlers. They play Prairie View this weekend, so big game there. Especially if if you're trying to just run the table. These are the kind of games you have to win. It's homecoming. You got a long home winning streak, so you don't want to mess that up. But the Rattlers can remain number 2. Number 3 also remains the same, and that's Tennessee State. They beat Lincoln on Saturday, 54-0. The Tigers are looking sharp. They've been playing some pretty solid football all season. They continue to do that defensively. They're playing very well offensively. They've been able to put some points on the board here and there. They dropped back into Ohio Valley, Big South play, whatever you want to call it. They play Lindenwood on Saturday, so that's a good home game for them to try to keep their momentum going before they wrap up the end of their season. But the Tigers, like I said, they remain in the 3rd spot. It's hard to jump either one of those 2 teams in front of you if they keep winning. So TSU right now is a solid 3rd place, and that's probably the top 3 teams in HBCU football right now. After that, it's pretty. It's really in how you look at these teams. Any team probably from 4 to 8, or even 9, or even 10, depending on how you look at these teams, and how you weigh certain things. Anybody from 4 to 10 can be rearranged and jumbled. I don't really think anybody in that realm is head and shoulders above anybody else. So your mileage may vary, but my number 4 team is Alcorn. I jumped them from 5 to 4, strictly because they won. They won on the road. They played a very, very good game against Pine Bluff. Offensively, they were clicking on all cylinders: run game, pass game, defense. They won the game 31-7. It was homecoming at Pine Bluff, so definitely came out and took care of business there. Picked up a big division win, which is their 3rd division win in conference play, 4th win in conference play overall. They're 4-3, but having those division wins always helps when it comes to tiebreakers and things like that. So definitely a big win for Alcorn. Like I said, probably the best game they played as a team all season. All facets of the offense were clicking. The defense did what they do all the time, and they're looking really good right now. And they, I still hesitate to say anybody's in the driver's seat right now, but they are the team that I picked to win before the season started, and they're starting to look like that right now, which makes them a dangerous opponent moving toward the end of the season. So the Braves jumped from 5 to 4. They're 4-3 overall, 3-1 in conference. So they are playing really, really well. They're making things happen. They play Valley at home on Saturday, so that's another opportunity for them to stack up a win. And they also have a non-conference win under their belt against McNeese, so that definitely always helps. To me, non-conference, out-of-conference wins are like a trump card, so that definitely helps get them over the top in those kind of situations. My number 5 team was my number 4 team. I don't really like to drop teams if they haven't played, but if a team has played below them and won, I kind of have to move them up. So I dropped Alabama A&M down from 4 to 5, strictly because they were off and Alcorn won. I know a lot of, some people don't really like that, but sometimes you have to do that in a poll. But the Bulldogs have a big game on Saturday. against Bama State in the Magic City Classic. They're 4-3 as well, so that's still right in that mix. But they have a big game against Alabama State on Saturday, which is gonna definitely impact the polls because Bama State is my number 16, and they are right now they're sitting at they're sitting at 3-3. Playing, defense still great. Defense is great. Offense, was opportunistic against Jackson State. For the most part, their offense still hasn't really been spectacular, but they were able to take advantage of some turnovers and get some short fields and score in their last game. They're coming off a bye week as well, and so they're gonna take on the number 5 team in Birmingham. That game is going to definitely cause some movement in the poll because one team's going to have to win, one's going to have to lose. But those two teams are kind of similar and they're kind of even. And that's going to be a knockdown, drag out affair. And we definitely going to talk about that game a lot on Wednesday. That's our game of the week. So Magic City Classic game of the week, definitely a big game here. One of the few games between opponents that are ranked in my poll. So that definitely makes things more interesting there. Number 7 is Jackson State. They moved up from 8, beating Valley on Saturday 21-6, rebounding from that loss to Alabama State. They go to Pine Bluff on Saturday, but Jackson State they changed quarterbacks. They went to Jacoby and Morgan on Saturday, and the offense, showed some flashes. Still not as consistent as you would like, but the defense pitched the shutout for like 59 minutes and like 30 seconds or whatever. So they played a really solid game on defense, gave up a late touchdown at the end of the game, but they went out and did what they had to do against Valley. Another winnable game on the road against Pine Bluff. So they have an opportunity to put together another win and jump up a spot or two, depending on who wins the Bama State game and what Alcorn does. But Jackson State, they're sitting at 5-3. Not a bad record, especially considering, what this team had to do at the beginning of the season with basically all new team. It's not what a lot of people would have liked, but it's not a bad season. Yes, they took some tough losses. Yes, they lost a game that they probably shouldn't have lost, but that happens, when you're not the super dominant team, that happens. You drop games every now and then. So JSU still is in good spot. Yes, the conference championship is out of the window. The playoffs are out of the window, but a strong finish still is possible. 8-3 is not bad. I mean, yes, it's not championship winning record, but that's still a solid record for an all new team with a first time head coach. So I wouldn't really sneeze at that at all. Although I do understand the expectations. Number 8 is Southern. They jumped from 10 to 8. They're 4-3 as well. They beat Bethune-Cookman 28-18. This was offensively still looking for Southern to play that complete game. They're capable of hitting a big play, which they hit quite a few big plays in this game. Defensively, gave up an early touchdown, but locked down the Wildcats pretty much from the middle of the first quarter to the end of the game when Bethune-Cookman scored a touchdown very, very late to make the score what it is. But they held down Bethune-Cookman, held on to 43 yards rushing. So the run defense is still playing great. Southern's run defense is number 7 in the country. FAMU was like number 8 or 9 behind them. Southern's like top 10 in scoring defense in the country. FAMU same. So two teams with really great defenses, and that's helped both teams. And Southern's defense has been their saving grace when you look at it. I mean, basically, this team has given up more than 20 points 2 times, and both of them were in losses. 27 to Jackson State, 26 to FAMU. So other than that, they haven't really given up a lot of points. They haven't really scored a lot of points, which is still a cause for concern. And that's why I feel like right now Southern's a tenuous number 8, man. They're like teetering right there. And a game against Texas Southern, who has a very explosive offense, is going to test this defense like crazy. And it's going to make the offense have to step up because I feel like TSU is going to be able to move the ball at times. They're probably going to score some points. So Southern's going to have to keep pace offensively in that game to help the Jags stay on track because this game could get away from them if they constantly have to put their defense on the field. You know, you don't want to keep doing that against a good offense. So this is going to be a good test for Southern. It's 4 games left for Southern. All are divisional games. So really the West Division goes through Southern per se, you know, because everybody still has to play them. If they went out, then they're good. If whoever beats them probably wins the division. So lot still on the line for everybody, but Southern's sitting right there in my 8th spot, jumping up 2 spots. Grambling is still at 9. They were off this week. They played Bethune-Cookman at home. They're 3-4. Had a little bit of a hot streak, kind of cooled off in the last couple of games, so that bye week probably came just in time to kind of, you know, help them get some things back on track. They, you know, kind of had a rough go of it offensively, not as explosive as they had been in recent weeks. Defensively starting to kind of slip back again, especially with the run defense. So they're facing a Bethune-Cookman team who is not a pushover. Offensively, they're still not where they need to be, but defensively, they have some guys that can fly around to the football, and they have some solid guys who can make plays in the backfield. So they're gonna challenge Grambling on defense, but I think Grambling's offense can help them in this game. But you know, this is opportunity for Grambling to pick up a win, move back to 500, and see where they go from there. Rounding out my top 10 is Howard. They jumped back into the top 10 after a week out of it. They beat Norfolk State by a score of 27-23 on their homecoming, Howard's homecoming. Trailed for large portions of this game, you know, but were able to put some things together and get the victory. 1-0 in conference play, so we still have a lot, you know, still have a lot in front of you. Got 4 conference games left. They play Delaware State this weekend, and you know they're still a team that I would not rule out of the conference race. I mean, obviously, they're probably still the number 2 team to me in the conference. So they play Delaware State this week. They play North Carolina Central in a couple of weeks, which is gonna be a big game, and that's a home game for them. So you know they still have an opportunity to make some things happen. They had a really solid non-conference. Didn't really stack up the wins, but they played competitively in a lot of those games. That Harvard loss, you know, was rough, but Harvard's a team that's, you know, beating up on pretty much everybody that they played. So there's not a lot bad in losing that game, but the margin was bad. But Howard's still a team that needs to be reckoned with. So they're back in the top 10 this week, and I think they're gonna stay there for a while. So they more than capable of moving back up the pole. But you know, win and you keep moving. My honorable mentions for this week, I only have 3 teams because really everybody that's not in the poll has a losing record. So there's only like 3 teams with, you know, that are like 1 game under 500. So I put those on my honorable mention. Everybody else is like, you know, 2-5 or worse, and I don't really, you know, feel like nobody needs to be on that list with that kind of record. So my honorable mention teams are Prairie View. They're 3-4. They were off this week, coming off of that loss to Houston Christian. They go to FAMU on Saturday. South Carolina State, they beat Delaware State on Saturday, so they are 3-4. They've been able to, you know, win a few games here and there now. Kind of got a rough start to the season, but they've won 2 out of their last 3 games. You know, so they're playing a little bit better offensively. They look pretty solid against Delaware State. Big test against North Carolina Central this week. But like I said, you never can count out South Carolina State in those kind of games at most times. And my last team that's 3-4 is Hampton, and Hampton's on a slide now that they've gotten into conference play. They've hit a slide and they've lost like 3 in a row. So it's tough to really, you know, keep them around because they play in a tough conference. You can't really totally punish them for, you know, losing those kind of games, but they've lost them in some rough fashion after losing to Campbell by 3 to open up their losing streak. Their last 2 games they lost by double digits. They lost to Monmouth by 51, and they lost to Delaware by 44. So they really gotten blown out in those two games. So they have A&T this week, which is a game that's definitely winnable. A&T's only won one game, I believe, this season. So they this is a nice opportunity for them to kind of make some things happen again. Get back on the winning track and just find a way to stack up some wins and pick up another conference win. But those are my top 10 teams and my few honorable mention teams. A lot of good football on the schedule this week. We're going to transition over to the point spreads from here. I took a quick glance at them this week, but this will be my first time really running through them. And we'll do like we've done most weeks. We'll do the SWAC games, and then I'll look at the other HBCU games that kind of stand out to me. Magic City Classic, Alabama A&M is favored by 1 point over Alabama State with an over/under of 48. This game is really going to hinge on how Bama State's offense can play. You know what I mean? Alabama A&M's defense is not great, but they can get stops when they need them. The offense is capable of moving the ball on the ground and through the air, depending on what quarterback they have out there. But Bama State's defense is more than up to the task. The Hornets won this game last season with very little offense, and that's something that you kind of expect that from an Alabama State team. But at some point, you really need that offense to kind of take the reins and help this defense out and play complementary football. And if there's going to be any game, it needs to be here. But a 1 point margin is not bad to me. I think these two teams, record wise, they're basically the same. A&M's 4-3, Bama State's 3-3. These two teams, I really know each other very well. And it's a rivalry game, so you can throw everything out the window, especially in this game. You've seen upsets, you've seen triple overtime games, you've seen all kind of stuff. So you never know what you're gonna get from this game. And a 1 point spread is not bad to me in this game. Bethune-Cookman is at Grambling. Grambling's favored by 7. Defensively, Bethune-Cookman, I think, can be competitive in this game. The offense still is missing something. Luke Sprague came back the last 2 weeks, and the offense is looking a little bit better in the past game, but the run game was really non-existent last week. I still think they're missing some playmakers. I mean, they do have some guys, but I still think they're missing that dynamic guy in the run game. And I think, playing against a Grambling defense that struggles against the run sometimes, you're going to want to try to run the football in this game, but knowing you're playing an offense that can move the ball through the air is definitely something that can hurt Bethune-Cookman. So 7 points is not a bad spread. I would probably bump it up to 10 because I think playing at home for Grambling, I think that's yes they get the 3 points for playing at home, so it's like a 4 point margin in Daytona. But I think playing at home helps Grambling even more with this team this season. So I like Grambling I like them to cover the spread and probably even win by more, over under 58. So Bethune-Cookman's going to have to really play great defense. They're going to have to keep that pressure on the quarterback and make those plays in the backfield. They do have some solid guys in the secondary. The return game for Bethune-Cookman can be a weapon. It hasn't this season, but it's possible. So if there's any opportunity for this team to win this game or even keep it close, they're going to have to play great defense and play solid special teams. And offense is going to have to hit some explosive plays. And Saturday, they didn't really hit very many. Probably the biggest explosive play they hit was on an offside free play and a couple passes that receivers had to make ridiculous catches to even get the ball. So I like Grambling in this game. I think they cover that spread. I don't want to say easily, but I think they cover it. Next game that we have in conference play is Jackson State at UAPB. JSU's favored by 23 in this game with over under 50. Pine Bluff's reeling. They're definitely reeling. Defensively, they're not looking good. They've played like 3 poor defensive performances. Offensively, they haven't really played that great. They've switched quarterbacks for the umpteenth time this season. So now they look like they're trying to figure out what they are. I kind of feel like the beginning of the season might have been a little bit of fool's gold, but 23 points is still a pretty high amount. JSU's offense hasn't really been consistent. If they're sticking with Jacoby and Morgan in the offense, may be able to take another step with him having a start under his belt there, and being able to make some plays but not consistently do it. Playing against another team like this can help the offense get going. I think defensively JSU will be able to force some turnovers and help the offense out. So I would honestly probably put the spread at like 17 or 15 or 17, but 23 is not ridiculous. I just coming off of the Valley game with JSU only scoring 21 points in that game. I kind of don't see it being that margin, but Pine Bluffs, like I said, they've been blown out in their last 3 games, so it's not impossible for that 23-point margin. Valley is at Alcorn. That is a 16.5-point spread. I would probably bump this one up to like 20 or 21 because I think Alcorn's run game seems to be back on track, and the passing game has been really good the last 3 games. And Alcorn's defense is a turnover machine. They can pressure the quarterback. They can stop the run. And, having a guy who and Williams at quarterback at Valley, he's a young guy. He's capable of making plays, but playing on the road is a little bit different than playing at home. So we'll see how he handles playing at Alcorn in this type of rivalry game. But I honestly think Alcorn could be favored for a little bit more, but the over-under is 42. And I think Alcorn covers that easily because I think they're really going to win this game going away. Prairie View is at FAMU. Like I said, homecoming in Tallahassee. They have the Rattlers favored by 19.5. Prairie View is a team that odd this season. Defensively, they can't really stop a lot of people, especially through the air. FAMU is a team that likes to air it out. Of course, they haven't been the most consistent team this season passing the ball. Last week, they leaned on their running game, which is something I had been asking for them to do for a while. And because I know they have the guys to do it. Dean, Yant, Jennings, hell, Sheree can run the ball. They have the guys that can run the ball if they're dedicated and put their mind to it. That's what they did against TSU. I can see them doing that this week, but I can also see them continuing to hurt Prairie View through the air. Prairie View is a running team. FAMU is pretty great against the run. Ladarius Owens did have a good game against them. I think he may have been the only back that they played this season to go over 100 yards on them. So they don't give up a lot of yards on the ground. I think like 89 or something like that per game. So it's going to be tough for Prairie View to really get their offense going. They, like I said, they haven't played really good, especially away from home. And I think the Rattlers are going to get it done. 19.5 is kind of par for the course for FAMU. They win a lot of these games, 31-10, 28-10, 34-10. So I think this is going to probably be another one of them kind of games. So I can see that margin. And like I said, over-under is 49. And it's probably going to be another FAMU game like this season where they start a little slow and they scored 2 or 3 touchdowns in the second half, and the score looks a lot worse than it did in the first half. So it's easy for them to get that 19.5 and not look like a super duper blowout. The last game we have in conference play is Texas Southern at Southern. They have Southern at 13. I'm probably leaning more towards Southern by like 6. If they win. I mean, TSU's not going to be a pushover. They've won the last 2 straight over Southern. TSU's offense, even though they don't have Andrew Body at quarterback, they still have a lot of weapons. They have some great running backs. Like I said, Ladarius Owens has had a couple great games the last couple of weeks, and he's a threat in the return game as well. Jace Wilson has played well. He threw his first interception this week. But he's not like putting up ridiculous numbers through the air, but he's playing solid. They have a lot of good receivers. That matchup against Southern's defense is the matchup that you want to see in this game. Because Southern's defense, they do give up some yardage through the air. They don't give up a lot on the ground. They don't give up a lot of points. Can they keep getting the stops? And can Southern's offense move the ball against a TSU defense that hasn't really stopped a lot of people? That's not saying that they're not capable of doing it. They just haven't really done it recently. But Southern's offense is very erratic. You don't know what you're going to get from them week in and week out. And this is a big game. Southern has Alcorn next week. I'm not saying Southern going to overlook TSU because you can't overlook somebody that beat you 2 times in a row, including shutting you out last year. But the talk of a lot of people is Alcorn and Southern matchup. You can't get to that game without getting through TSU. So Southern has to pay close attention to TSU. But I think 13 is is a little high. Like I said, I think more like 6. I'm not saying that if Southern's offense doesn't wake up in the way the defense plays, if they can, slow down TSU, that they can't win this game by like a 27-14 margin or, something like that. I'm not saying that's what my prediction score is. I'm just saying to get to like that 13 points, it would be something like that. But that's going to take a lot of work from Southern's defense, and that's assuming a lot for Southern's offense at this point. So I can see TSU beating this spread, and I could even see them winning this game outright. That's why I lean more toward like a 6 or 7 point margin, because I think Southern, playing at home, I think is going to help. But the offense is the wild card for me for Southern, so that's what keeps me kind of cautious in this one. Looking at some of the MEAC games and other games that we have, South Carolina State is a 14.5 point underdog to North Carolina Central. That's not a bad spread. I think South Carolina State is going to play tough in this game, but I think Central's on a mission. So I think they realize. I mean, they already know it, but I think they took Morgan's best shot, and I think they're going to take South Carolina State's best shot. But the Eagles are at home, and that's definitely going to help them in this game. Howard is a 16-point favorite over Delaware State. No problem with that. Howard's run game should definitely get the job done there. Morgan is a 3.5 point underdog to Norfolk. I like the Bears in this one, honestly, because I think their defense is great. They have. I don't know if you've ever watched Morgan State play defense, but their defense is really, really good. They don't miss a lot of tackles. They play sound football on defense, and they are very aggressive. The over-under is 44, so not a lot of points expected to be scored in this game. I know Morgan's offense is definitely going to be the difference in this game, but if the defense can turn Norfolk over and get off in short fields, then I think they have a chance to win this game. So I really lean Morgan State in that game more than anything, because I think that they have an opportunity to pull that one off. Lindenwood is an 11-point underdog to Texas Southern, and I'm gonna be real. I don't know nothing about Lindenwood, so I don't even know what their record is. But the Tigers are playing really strong right now. Their defense is good. The offense is capable of putting up points. So I think TSU wins that game. And the last game that we have, as far as games of interest, is North Carolina A&T at Hampton. Hampton's favored by 2. Now, if you asked me a few weeks ago, I will probably have Hampton double digit favorites, because A&T hasn't really played well. They haven't really done anything well offensively. If you really want to be honest, the passing game has been pretty poor all season for the Aggies. And Hampton have been playing very well. They were probably the surprise team of the first 4 or 5 weeks of the season. Kind of came back down a little bit because, like I said, now they're in conference play, and they played a couple really tough games to open up the season, open up the conference play, and it's really catching up to them. So now this game is a little bit more, I don't want to say even, but it's a little bit more of an opportunity for the Aggies to even, win this game. But they have not been able to pass the ball all season. If you really want to look at it, their passing numbers have been really, really poor. And if the Pirates can get back to their run game like they had in recent weeks, they should win this game, because you can't lose to a team who hasn't thrown for 100 yards this season. That just that can't happen. So I like Hampton in this game. They're at home, so that helps. I still think that 2-point margin is a little bit low. I would probably bump that up to 7, because I just don't know. Maybe A&T can find a passing attack this week. If they do, then this game is gonna be really interesting. But this is probably, and I don't like to, I don't like to talk bad about these teams in these conferences, but this might be both of these teams' last chance at a win. You know what I mean? A&T plays Towson, Rhode Island, and Campbell, and those are three teams that are pretty, pretty decent record wise in conference play. Rhode Island's 2-3, Towson is 2-2, Campbell is 3-2. Hampton, like I said, their last couple games after the A&T game, Maine, William and Mary, and Elon. Elon's 4-1 in conference. Maine is 1-4, and William and Mary is 2-2. So they both have tough games. So this could be, one of their last opportunity to pick up a win in the season. So I think a lot's going to be on the line in this game. I think both teams are going to play really tough to get a win. But I think that spread is a little low. It's not ridiculously low. It's not, it's not like an insult. But that's where we stand on that one. I do want to shout out Virginia Lynchburg, man. They beat Lane on Saturday. That's the first win they had in a long time. And their reward is going to Fort Valley State and being a 27-point underdog. But I just wanted to shout out Virginia Lynchburg for getting a victory because they lose a lot. So whenever they make something happen, it's good to give them a shout out. That's gonna do it for today's show, man. I thank y'all for tuning in. Rocking with us. Like I said, we've got our week 9 preview coming at you tomorrow. Swag Smoke live 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern on Thursday, and our week 9 recap coming at you on Sunday. And then our top 10 heading into week 10 is on next Tuesday. So y'all make sure y'all continue to rock with us. If you hadn't watched it already, man, I got my video on Fandom 101. What to do at a game to get the most out of the experience. Link in the description. So y'all make sure y'all check that out if you haven't already. Like the video, share it, and subscribe, man. And we'll catch y'all on the rebound. Peace.